right direction than the wrong direction. Everyday Americans love this president because
and the Dems hate it. That's the craziest part. They hate the fact that we are in line with the president now. That, like I said, majority of the people in America voted for Donald Trump, even if it's just by 2 million. That's 2 million more people that's able to vote and say, yeah, the president's doing great, which he is.
because he tells it like it is, no matter what. And he did that last night. President Trump level set with the American people on the economy and exposed how badly Joe Biden screwed it up by causing the worst inflation crisis in 4 decades. President Trump was on it while making clear that help is on the way. As the president declared last night, he will make America affordable again. Last night, you also saw who motivates the president to work so hard. Everyday Americans, who President Trump shined a spotlight on last night in his speech. From Mark Fogel, who President Trump was finally able to reunite with his family and his beautiful 95-year-old mother after being detained in Russia, to Peyton McNabb, whose heart-wrenching story motivated President Trump to end men in women's sports, and to Allison and Lauren Phillips, the mother and daughter.
Like, man, girl, like pretty much competed with a man and then lost the ability to, ever compete again. Why? Because she competed with a man. And, the Dems will say, oh, that's a one-off scenario. It's like, the problem is it shouldn't even happen in the first place.
And sister of Laken Riley, who President Trump honored by signing the Laken Riley Act to ensure her name will live on forever. In other amazing and surprise moments, President Trump honored the life of Jocelyn Nungare, who was brutally murdered by illegal alien gang members. He ensured Jocelyn will never be forgotten by renaming a national wildlife refuge in her home state of Texas to honor her life. And in one of the greatest surprise moments of the night, DJ Daniel, an incredible 13-year-old boy who is beating brain cancer, saw his dreams fulfilled by President Trump when he was made an honorary Secret Service agent. And finally, after nearly 4 years, President Trump delivered justice for the families of the 13 American heroes who were killed at Abbey Gate in the Biden botched Afghanistan withdrawal, which was one of the worst humiliations in the history of our country.
And then what made it even worse, bro didn't even want to pull up to the funeral. He didn't even pull up to the damn funeral. Nobody had nothing to say about that. Trump pulls up to the funeral and then they want to say, oh, he's doing it for a photo op. Bro, somebody got to pull up here.
President Trump announced that we have detained Mohammed Sharifullah, the monster who was responsible for that horrific attack, and he was delivered to Dulles Airfield earlier this morning. On his first day in office, President Trump's national security team across the federal government prioritized intelligence gathering to locate this.
Guys, make sure to like the video, man. Go ahead and double tap that screen for me real quick so we can get more people in on the conversation and push the video. Appreciate the support.
Evil individual. President Trump's team shared intelligence with regional partners such as Pakistan, who helped identify this monster in the borderland area late last month.
Okay.
Mohammed confessed to his crimes related to Abbey Gate and other attacks in Russia and Iran as well to the Pakistanis. And U.S. law enforcement officers traveled to Pakistan over the weekend, where he again confessed his crimes to the FBI. As President Trump said last night, this killer will now face the swift sword of American justice for these atrocities right here on United States soil.
Damn.
Joe Biden was responsible for this botched withdrawal, and he had 3 years to find this evil terrorist, and he didn't even try to get the job done. But President Trump campaigned on behalf of and grew very close to the Gold Star families. He promised them accountability, and last night, he kept his promise. He spoke to those Gold Star families yesterday, ahead of his speech, in an incredibly heartwarming call to share this incredible news. And as President Trump asked...
And we all know one thing about the Democrats, they take no accountability. Yes, that was botched up on Biden or the Biden administration. Who's ever calling the shots, they screwed that up. And they couldn't even make Biden go out there and be like, look, we effed that up. I'll be at their funerals. I'll do whatever I can for their families, whatever. Man, didn't even do that. Didn't even want to go to their funeral. But somehow, some way, y'all was ready to say, oh, but Trump thinks that the veterans are losers. Really? What's more disrespectful to the veterans than, I don't know, not pulling up to a dead soldier's funeral that on the operation that you botched? Crazy, but okay.
Asked in his speech last night, How could anyone possibly be opposed to any of
No.
this action that he is taking? Well, apparently, the modern day Democrat Party could. The behavior of Democrats last night was completely disgraceful and demonstrated how severely out of touch they are with the American public. It was the most shameful moment in the history of presidential addresses in that beautiful chamber. And what was supposed to be a unifying moment.
I mean, no, it really did, because everything the Dems said after they came out was just complete propaganda. None of it was true. Everything was complete propaganda. Trump had been addressed the Medicaid stuff. We've been addressed Elon's access to federal funds. We've been addressed all that, and they're still trying to push this narrative. It just shows like, yo, y'all are that out of touch with the people, bro. They were out here blaming Trump for everything that Biden did. For everything that the Biden administration brought upon us, they're blaming Trump for now. And they're trying to act like we don't know. It's crazy. Like, we're talking about Bernie coming out 11-minute speech. Some, I don't know, random ass woman that used to work for the CIA coming out with some random ass speech that's saying Trump is evil. Like, oh, prepare for the end of democracy. But we are going to sit here and blame everything that our administration did to y'all on Trump, though.
For our country, Democrat members of Congress instead screamed at the President of the United States, who was just overwhelmingly reelected by their constituents, walked out of the chamber, and worst of all, they disrespected the American people. Democrats didn't stand to keep men out of women's sports. They couldn't even clap for her head smashed in by a man on a volleyball court. Democrats didn't stand for an innocent and beautiful child who is surviving brain cancer. They opposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security.
Yeah, that was wild. I mean, bro, y'all got to learn how to put y'all hatred for Trump on the side. We're talking about a black boy who has brain cancer, and y'all didn't stand up. Really? All this like stuff y'all was talking about, the black community is for the liberal party and all this. We got a black boy that needs to be celebrated, and y'all ass want to sit y'all ass down? Oh shit. Really? But black men, do you still think this is our party though? I mean, look what they did to that black boy just because Trump shouted him out. I mean, that should have been a kumbaya moment. Bro, y'all should have been able to stand just off the pure fact that, look, this ain't even about Trump. This is about realizing a kid with brain cancer's dream. Don't matter what color the kid would have been. Y'all should have stood up.
They didn't stand in favor of cutting taxes for hardworking Americans. They couldn't even clap for two mothers whose daughters were killed by illegal aliens. One of the only things that could get Democrats off their feet last night was cheering for Ukraine.
Bro.
Not for America. Last night was a very clarifying moment for our country.
It's like they're spiteful. That's what it is. They're spiteful against the people of America. It's like, and the thing is, though, they expect for us to vote for them. They're spiteful against the people that they want to vote for them. I mean, but then again, you're the same people that have the strategy of slapping Putin in the face and then asking for a deal.
Democrats expose themselves as the party of insanity and hate, the party that wants to put America last. They've allowed their Trump derangement syndrome to—
And guys, man, let's get to 10 likes, man. Do me a favor and double tap that screen, like the video. Appreciate the support, by the way. Hit those 3 dots up there in the corner as well. Also works to like the video. Let's go.
Stop them from celebrating America and our people. And we will not allow them to forget that. And it's not just the Democrat Party. The mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer in an attack on the president over January 6th.
Yo.
And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The dots were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech.
Yeah.
It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats—
because most of us don't have TDS. Most of us really do not have that Trump derangement syndrome. We could see a little more clearly than y'all who just hate Trump so bad to the point where he could say the best things in the world, and pretty much y'all just say, "Oh, we're in a dictatorship." I'm like, bro, he just said he's gonna lower taxes. The man just said he's gonna fix the border. He's gonna make America safer than y'all did, and y'all can't even stand for that. I mean, bro, y'all can't even stand for— I mean, a kid with what? Brain cancer? A black one at that. I mean, I thought y'all was all for the minorities, but I guess only if that minority is for y'all. Huh.
And liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans. We have an individual in our new media seat today, Mary Margaret Olohan, who is the Daily Wire's first ever White House correspondent. Congratulations, Mary Margaret. The Daily Wire was founded 10 years ago by Ben Shapiro. The Daily Wire now has over 1 million paid subscribers, a monthly network reach of 138 million, and has evolved into a leading conservative multimedia giant. They are now the 5th largest podcast network in the world and home to some of the top-ranked shows. With that,
and shout out my man James Foley. He says, bringing good energy to the stream. Shout out. And man, look, bro, I'm bringing the same energy you is, Foley. Hey, man, we on the same vibe tonight. Let's get right to it.
I will take your questions. And Mary Margaret, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you so much, Caroline. It's great to be here.
Thanks.
So I had 2 questions, if that's okay. The first on last night and the second on Maine. You talked about behavior from Democrat lawmakers, a lot of disruptions, and I just wanted to kind of go back to that. We saw Democrat lawmakers not stand for Laken Riley, for Peyton McNabb, for the son of a slain police officer and 13-year-old cancer survivor.
Damn.
What are the optics of that nationally, just in terms of not just the people who were in the room last night, but across the nation? And also, was President Trump expecting this type of behavior when he was crafting his speech?
So I gave a quote to one of the media outlets in this room yesterday that Democrats behaving like children would be the least surprising thing of the night. And unfortunately, that quote did turn out to be true. I think the president and everyone, frankly, was surprised by the Democrats refusing to stand for not the president's policies, because, frankly, we expected that, but for the everyday Americans who President Trump was shining a light on their stories. Mark Fogel, for instance, an American school teacher who was detained by the Russians. President Trump freed him. If Joe Biden had done that, they all would have been on their feet. But because of it came from President Trump, they weren't. So we think it's very sad, but we're very proud of the president today. And the American people are the people that this president cares about most.
I mean, yeah, if Joe Biden or Kamala said it, oh, he has so much compassion. Trump would have never did nothing like that because he just so selfish. I mean, come on now. Come on. You really tell me we can't sit here and this? I'll be like, all right, little man, let's celebrate the fact that we know more victims like Lincoln Riley. Let's celebrate the survival or the fight of this black young man who's fighting brain cancer. Can we just kumbaya on that? You telling me we couldn't even do that? That's crazy. Like, Dems, grow up.
And the reviews are in, and everybody loved his speech.
Thank you. And then on Maine, we know that the governor of Maine has really pushed back against the president's executive order saying that boys should not be in girls' sports. I spoke with a lawmaker from Maine this morning who told me she'd been censured by state lawmakers for calling a man and speaking up on this. What is the next move for the White House in this battle to protect the integrity of women's sports?
Yeah, well, the Department of Education has sued the state of Maine. As you know, there's ongoing litigation. The president has made a commitment to ensure that states are being held accountable if they continue to allow men in women's sports, which he believes is an egregious violation of taxpayer dollars. And so that fight continues, and the president won't back down. Again, this is a common sense policy. 80% of the American people, including more than 60% of Democrats, do not want men in women's sports. So the president will stand by this commitment.
And how is that such a hard stance? I mean, like, bro, I really need some of these Democrats to come on here and defend that and defend it without saying that it's such a small issue, because that's an easily destroyable argument. It's like, bro, all right, cool. This one transgender in this one sport is taking opportunity away from millions of women. Now, y'all like to bring up the point of, oh, well, what if they're not even that good? I'm like, first off, even if they're not that good, why are we letting men play in women's sports? Like, it don't sound right. I mean, if these trans want to play in sports, let them create their own league or something, or just play with their, original gender. I mean, shoot, it'd be pretty damn entertaining to see a guy in a wig slam dunk on, another guy. It'd be, man, I ain't gonna lie, I'll be here for it. It probably fuck up the NBA a little bit, but I'll be here.
Thank you. Gabe, good to see you in here.
Good to see you, Caroline. A couple questions. One, can you confirm that the president held talks with the big 3 automakers today, speaking about potentially delaying tariffs?
I can confirm, and I'm glad that you asked, because the president sent me out here with a statement directly from him on this. I saw it was reported earlier today by Bloomberg News, and he wanted me to share this with all of you. We spoke with the big 3 auto dealers. We are going to give a 1-month exemption on any autos coming through USMCA. Reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd, but at the request of the companies associated with USMCA, the president is giving them an exemption for 1 month so they are not at an economic disadvantage. So the 3 companies that he spoke to are Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors. They requested the call, they made the ask, and the president is happy to do it. It's a 1-month exemption.
And the president just posted on social media that he had spoken.
AKA, bend the knee and get your ass over here within a month or you're going to get tariffed. It's like, I love it. Hey, like I said, man, let's build back American manufacturing. Bring it back.
Prime Minister Trudeau says he's not satisfied with what the prime minister has said when it comes to fentanyl, but less than 1%, as you know, less than 1% of the fentanyl seized last year was in the northern border. What else does Canada need to do?
Well, the president did just put out a statement on his call with the governor, Justin Trudeau, as he calls him, of Canada. And he said that he was not pleased, as you said. He said it's not good enough. He told Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that directly. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner, as the president said, but he's not going to stop standing up for the American people. And to answer your question directly, when it comes to fentanyl, for the last 4 years, unfortunately, our neighbors to the north and the south, Canada and Mexico, respectively, have allowed America to be a dumping ground, not just for illegal aliens, but for illegal, poisonous, deadly fentanyl, which is now the #1 killer of young people in this country aged 18 to 34. Through the northern border in Canada, in last fiscal year alone, there was enough fentanyl seized to kill 4.8 billion people. And that number is up 2,050% from 2023.
And it's crazy. It's like, and look, it was never a good idea to do hard drugs, obviously. But it's like, y'all can't even do hard drugs no more. Look, back in my day, and it's gonna sound a bit reckless what I'm about to say, but back in my day, you was able to take an Adderall, an ecstasy pill, a Percocet, and go out and party into night and have a damn good time. Nowadays, it's getting hit with the fentanyl. That'll be the last goddamn pill you take in your life. It's crazy out here. Even with, I guess, the crack and all the other hard drugs like heroin, they're putting some crazy stuff in here that's killing you in the first try. I don't know what the point is. I thought the whole thing was to have like a revolving door effect. I didn't know the new drug dealer motto was to send them out the door and make sure they never come back. I thought back in the day, the revolving door, so good you come back.
Year before. So there's been more than a 2,000% increase in illegal fentanyl seizure at the northern border. Why? Because Canada is allowing that fentanyl to come to the United States. The president sees these numbers. He thinks about the lives that are lost. And everybody in this room, I'm sure, everybody watching at home, everybody across the country knows someone in our lives who has been.
And make sure to like the video, guys. And hey, man, pray. If you know anybody who died of fentanyl, man, make sure you pray. But right after you do that, right when you're done, double tap the screen and like the video. Hit the 3 dots up there in the corner. Also like the video. And if you have any questions, comments, jokes, concerns you want to share, $2 and up, I'll go ahead and read it out loud and post it to the top of the screen. Appreciate the support, guys.
Killed at the hands of this deadly poison. There needs to be repercussions for that. The president feels very strongly about it.
Respectfully, it's just 43 pounds that were found last year. That's less than a carry-on suitcase.
43 pounds, like, bro, that's enough. Bro, that is enough. Like, you know how much fentanyl you need to kill somebody? Bro, ask George Floyd. It's like, bro, it's a very small amount. Actually, ask the doctors who actually look over these fentanyl deaths. They'll tell you it's a very small amount of fentanyl you need. So the fact that they're finding this in pounds is absolutely insane. Like, bruh, that's a problem.
Is that a lot of fentanyl compared to, say, Mexico, where the vast majority of the fentanyl is brought in from Mexico, not Canada? So what else does Canada need to do?
Well, I just told you. Last year alone, there was a 2,000% increase in illegal fentanyl. You're asking me for what the president's justification is for these tariffs. It's not up to you. You're not the president, Gabe. And frankly, I think it's a little bit disrespectful to the families in this country who have lost loved ones at the hands of this deadly poison.
And shout out to my man Foley says, Stephen Don's in a car, who's driving? The orderly? Stephen Don's in a car, who's driving? I mean, I'm weak. I would hope Don's. I would hope Don's.
If you talk to them, and this president has, they are grateful that they finally have a president who is standing up to both Canada and Mexico, and most importantly, to China as well. The president added an additional 10% tariff on China because this deadly poison is being produced in that country. It's being distributed through our neighbors, and there needs to be consequences for that, period. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. If the U.S. has a longstanding policy that we do not negotiate with terrorists, then why is the U.S. now negotiating directly and for the first time ever with Hamas?
Oh, and shout out my man DD Gaming, man. Appreciate you. He said, I hope I wasn't too crazy last night, dude. I know people on drugs all my life. So many family members are either in jail or dead from drugs. And my brother, I know exactly how you feel. Trust me, I got uncles doing life over selling drugs. And I got friends that are no longer here because of doing drugs. It's like, it's such a duality with those things, man. And trust me, it's like it's never a positive result. It's like maybe when you're selling it, you get a bit of positivity with the money, but then what happens after that? And one day you're just chilling, and then FBI, open up! And you know what happens after that?
Emotional damage.
Well, when it comes to the negotiations that you're referring to, first of all, the special envoy who's engaged in those negotiations does have the authority to talk to anyone. Israel was consulted on this matter. And look, dialogue and talking to people around the world to do what's in the best interest of the American people is something that the president has proven is what he believes is good faith effort to do what's right for the American people.
Is it just about the hostages or...
Oh, and shout out my man DD Gaming, though. Appreciate the support, my man. Let me go ahead and give you your shout out, though. You got to go ahead and give support. Shout out to the supporters. And also, man, shout out my man James Foley. He says the orderly driving, go to sleep, needle people.
Are they also talking about the president's plan to take over Gaza?
These are ongoing talks and discussions. I am not going to detail them here. There are American lives at stake. I would defer you to the Department of State for further details, but I'm not going to get into those talks here at this podium.
We know that some officials here were miffed that Zelensky showed up last week without a suit for his meeting in the Oval Office, but Elon Musk never wears a suit.
He did last night.
So,
yeah, he did. What the fuck? Yeah, he did. He's been wearing this, bro. The man wears he wears the blazer with the shirt. That's kind of like a suit. I'm be real with you. Yes, he got the blazer on. And then last night, yes, he did wear a suit last night. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, y'all petty as hell. Y'all is too petty. It's like, and y'all make this woman's job way too damn easy.
So what is the dress code?
Well, Elon Musk wore a suit last night. I'm sure you saw it.
Was he spooked by the Zelensky? Zelensky getting kicked out?
No, I don't think so. I'm just pointing out that he did wear a suit tonight, and I think the president liked that very much, and he looked great. Speaking of the president, he just passed me a note while I'm standing here.
And shout out to my man Zoloff. He says freedom cost $1.05. Hey man, shout out Zoloff. Appreciate you pulling up, brother.
He wanted me to hold this up. This is the poll that I cited, the CBS YouGov poll that shows that 76% of those.
And shout out to the supporters, man. Shout out my man Zoloff, DD Gaming, my man James Foley. Appreciate you guys. But if you cannot support, man, hey, there's another way you can support by double tapping that screen and the 3 dots up there. Or there's an even cheaper way you can support. The gift box. They're in the chat right down there. Yes, hit the gift box. Trust me. It's something new they came out with. Like they're trying to copy TikTok, but it's cute, I guess.
Who watched the president's speech last night approved of his speech. And so it goes to my earlier point that I made in my monologue about how incredibly sad it is that we have a modern day Democrat Party who is so severely out of touch with the American public. This is a great poll. The ultimate poll, though, came on November 5th when the president won by an overwhelming margin that he spoke about last night. Democrats weren't happy to hear that either. Ouija.
Thank you, Caroline. Back on tariffs. Last night, President Trump said there will be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. Can you put a dollar figure amount on how much the average American family should expect to pay as this disturbance? And why should Americans be okay with that when so many are already struggling to pay the bills?
Well, first of all, last night, the president told the truth. and he was realistic, and he level set with the American people. And I think, frankly, it's
That's
very
real.
refreshing. And everybody in this
I
room should
mean,
be
bro, think about it like this. It's better than this shit just happening out of nowhere and then we're getting gaslighted. Like, bro, gas prices are rising, grocery prices are rising. Then we go look over to the Biden administration, and then they tell us we're in the best economy in our fucking life. What? Trump comes in, he's like, all right, look, man, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Y'all gonna go through a couple hard times, but after that, y'all gonna be good. All right. He's being real. At least Biden could have came out and said, look, man, hey, y'all gonna go through some hard time. Things are gonna rise up for a little bit, but we'll get it together. He could have came out like that, but he didn't. We just got blindsided with high ass prices and an affordability crisis. Blindsided. At least Trump is letting us know.
very grateful.
Oh, and shout out my man Fire Rain. He says, I hate to enter a password every time I super chat. Yeah, hey man, so set up on the thumbprint. It's a whole lot easier when you set up on the thumbprint.
That we have a president who tells the truth about,
or any like what is it, biometric or whatever, let in.
about the reality of the economic situation that we are in. Unlike the previous president who lied to everybody's faces, inflation was transitory, saying it was under control, saying that the border was secure, when none of that was true. So the president is being frank and honest. And the American people elected this president to have monumental reform and change, including rebuilding our manufacturing base in this country, standing up to foreign nations who have been ripping off our country for decades. And that requires a little bit of disrupt. That requires a lot of effort and work that this president is focused on doing. With that said, as the president said last night, his administration is wholeheartedly committed, of course, to ending the inflation nightmare caused by the Biden administration. Look at the deregulation efforts. Look at the president's push last night in his speech for Congress to pass tax cuts, to end taxes on Social Security and overtime pay for hardworking Americans, end taxes on tips. We need Congress to get that done because that's going to put more money back into the.
And please tell me, Congress, the Dems, please tell me how that's going to fuck us up. Please tell me. Because I remember during the election, y'all pulled some shiesty ass shit. Y'all was people trying to say that because Trump want to cut taxes, he's increasing government spending because the government is losing revenue from the taxpayer. And I'm just like, hold on. Is y'all really trying to say that he's increasing spending by not allowing the government from taking money from us? Like, is that really what y'all framed it as? So I want y'all to sit there and explain here, how is taking away the income tax going to hurt us? I mean, how is no tax on tips? How is no tax on overtime? How is that all going to hurt us? Please give us the doomsday scenario, because come on now, y'all got to explain it. We know you're going to be fighting it, but hopefully I can explain it.
Tax cuts, to end taxes on Social Security and overtime pay for hardworking Americans, end taxes on tips. We need Congress to get that done because that's going to put more money back into the pockets of the American people. And I didn't even mention energy. Look at the president's approach and focus on unleashing the might of our energy industry. We know that's the number one driver of inflation. He's been slashing back a lot of the burdensome regulation from the previous administration to unleash our energy industry here at home, which will drive down.
Hey, yo, that's a good point. It's like, is Social Security tax just a tax on taxes? Is that efficient? Like, bro, that's a really damn good question. Shit. Hey, yo, it really is. I mean, where do they get this Social Security money from? Our taxes. And you tell me we're gonna tax them to give them their. Okay, so we're taxing our citizens from getting taxpayer money that they paid into. So they're just getting double tax. It's like, look, we're taxing you to get the money. We're taxing you to get the money. We're gonna tax you to receive the money. You feel me? It's like, oh man, who else but the government? Who else but the government? These people.
On costs. He said he is committed to making America affordable again. He did it in his first term, and Americans can trust him to do it again.
President Trump has made clear, Caroline, that he loves tariffs, but the stock market does not. How does he factor that into his decision making?
Well, the president does love tariffs. He said it's one of his favorite words of the English dictionary. And he believes in tariffs because they'll ultimately make America rich again. They're going to raise revenue. They're going to help us pay down our debt. Most importantly, they're going to bring American jobs here back home. So I think for folks on Wall Street who may be concerned, look at what this president did for you in his first term. Wall Street boomed, stock market boomed. The president expects that to happen again. But most importantly, Main Street is going to boom. And that's why the president has this whole of government economic approach, which includes tax cuts, tariffs, regulation cuts, and an energy industry that will bring down costs for American consumers. Sure, Monica.
Thank you, Caroline. You mentioned not one Democrat senator voted to protect women.
And a lot of people don't understand. It's like, bro, it's all one succinct plan. A lot of people like to low key fearmonger on Trump's policy by just cutting the whole plan out and just saying tariffs. Yep, that's all he got is tariffs. And yeah, that'd been a bad idea. That's all he was doing was tariffs. But when you add the whole plan up, yeah, it's actually a pretty good plan that could lead America to prosperity. And I don't really see it going anywhere else but that, because it kind of just sounds like, well, us the people has been being abused by our government for way too long, way too long.
Sports from males. Not one Democrat congressman or congresswoman stood to applaud or support protecting women's spaces and sports at the president's joint session to Congress last night, as you articulately mentioned in the beginning. So I'm wondering, what message is that sending to not only young women who are competing in these sports across the country, but also to the parents of these young girls?
Yeah. I think the message that Americans should take away from last night is that they have a president in the Oval Office who is committed to doing what's right for them, especially women and girls across the country. And I think it's very ironic, thank you for bringing up the point about women, that Democrat women were wearing pink to support our fellow females, yet they couldn't stand, again, for a young woman who was almost killed and severely injured by a man on the volleyball court. They couldn't stand for the mothers of two beautiful young women whose lives were taken tragically at the hands of illegal people. So you can
through policies that they enacted, through policies that they enacted. Remember that.
Can't say you're the party of women and then support men and women's sports and not stand up for basic law and order and immigration reform that will protect women in this country. That's what President Trump is doing. He's the president for women. Lindsay, good to see you.
Thank you, Caroline. Good to see you. So speaking of tariffs, China said yesterday that they're ready for any.
Yeah, he's a president for women, man. Yep. That's why he can grab them by the pussy. Whoops, my bad. But yeah, he's president for women. Yep, that's why he gave them back their sports.
Kind of war with the U.S. Because of these tariffs that have been placed on them. And a Chinese spokesperson also said that the tariffs would not lead to a resolution of U.S. concerns about fentanyl originating in China. Can you speak to how the administration is planning on responding to that?
Well, I think Secretary Hegseth has responded to that this morning. He said that America will always be prepared to defend itself, especially under the leadership of this president in the Oval Office. And that certainly remains true. Again, when it comes to tariffs, the president has been very tough on China, not just now with 20% and more with the reciprocal tariffs that will hit on April 2nd. But look at what he did in his first term. There were billions of dollars worth of tariffs that he implemented on China. And it's quite telling that the previous administration did not rescind those tariffs because they realized the value that they had in not only deterring China, but also raising revenue here in the United States. Rachel.
Yeah.
Just a quick follow-up, two quick follow-ups on tariffs. The president mentioned a little disturbance during his remarks.
It'd have been too much of a, I'm gonna be real, it'd have been too much of a cause and effect. Like, if they'd have stopped the tariffs on China, American people would have felt that immediately.
Yesterday, the CEO of Target says that consumers will likely see prices go up on everything from strawberries to bananas to avocados. How long should Americans expect to pay higher prices? Are we talking a week, a couple of days, a few months?
Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can assure the American people is that this president and this administration is doing everything they can. And I would remind you and everybody else in this room that it's because of the previous administration's economic policies that Americans were left with record high inflation. Inflation throughout Joe Biden's entire 48 months in office was at or above 3%. It hit record highs, as you know. And there's a whole list of what the Biden economic disaster this president was left to clean up. It's been a month, but he's working hard every single day to do just that.
Follow up on the carve outs.
Y'all still won't admit it. Y'all still will not admit that, the economy was terrible under Biden. And then here's the worst thing. There were still people in the chat during the election saying that we're in the best economy ever. So, I mean, I just want to know, how far the delusion goes with you guys. That's really my main question. How far does the delusion go?
Sorry to cut you off there. The U.S. imported $43 million worth of eggs from Canada. I know you mentioned some of the exemptions when it comes to automakers. Will there be any other carve-outs, including for eggs? We know prices are soaring for Americans.
The president is open to hearing about additional exemptions. He always has open dialogue, and he'll always do, what's right, what he believes is right.
And shout out to my man Fire Ram for the $1. Appreciate the support, my friend. He had too much to say, just wanted to show some support.
for the American people. But again, as for the egg crisis in this country, the president is wholeheartedly committed to ensuring we're increasing our egg supply, and we're also bringing down cost. And Secretary Rollins has been all over this issue. She comes from an agricultural background and family. That's why she's leading that very important department. She wrote an amazing op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. She's been all over the media talking about her plan. She has a real plan. The president endorses it. And he even, gave her an off the prompter shout out last night to say, Brooke, I'm counting on you. It's an important issue. And this White House is working with Secretary of Agriculture every single day to address this issue. Sure. Jordan.
Thanks, Caroline. So what does it say that the Democrats, while they couldn't stand for Americans or stand for victims, they stood for war and clapped for war and clapped for 5 more years of war?
Yeah, the president addressed that last night, I think, when he called out Senator Elizabeth Warren and said that, again, as I said in my opening speech, very telling that the Democrats refused to clap for American people and American interests and American priorities, but they did clap for the country of Ukraine, which, by the way, the president's working very hard to end that war. So Democrats should be applauding him for actually doing something about it.
Follow up on that.
For real.
You've spoken recently about how what happened in the Oval Office last week gave America
all the most patriotic stuff they sat down for, but they want to stand up for Ukraine. Like I said, bro, these people hate the U.S. It's like, bro, they hate everything about the Constitution, and they want to do, bro. They hate everything about the Constitution, but you trust me, they'll bring up the Constitution when it's time to disagree with, the Republicans or Trump. And then they don't even bring it up in the right way. That's the worst part about it. These people literally hate Americans at this point. It's like, if y'all can't get over y'all hatred of Trump to the point where you can't just celebrate or grieve for fellow Americans, y'all truly have a problem.
An inside look into
lost your mind.
scenes, discussions with Zelensky. Is this how he treated Joe Biden and just treated him disrespectfully and received billions of dollars?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I don't know if anybody in here asked my predecessor who stood at this podium about that, but there was a report from NBC News that President Biden also got increasingly frustrated with President Zelensky when he was handing out blank checks and President Zelensky kept asking for more. Joe Biden was quite frustrated with that. So again, as I've said repeatedly, Friday revealed the frustrations that this administration has had in closed door negotiations.
I keep hearing some stuff about, the Dems getting to Zelensky before the meeting. I keep hearing stuff about that. So we're going to get into a video that pretty much pops into it. Now, shout out to my man, Liberal Hive Mind. He done covered this. So let's get into his video. Hey guys, and make sure to like the video, man. Double tap that screen for me. Let's get more people on the conversation. If you right there have any questions, comments, jokes, you can send in $2 and up and we'll read it out loud. Appreciate the support. Other than that, hey, like the video.
Strategize ahead of the meeting. Take a look. Peace deal that blew up in the Oval Office Friday would have been the starting point for negotiations to end the Ukraine war. It would have put America at the center of Ukraine's future development, and it would have brought back some of the money we invested over there. So how come it fell apart in that Oval Office blow-up?
I know, because that would really suck. It was like, bro, the resource deal was the best way to recuperate that money that we sent over there. That was the best way to recuperate it. The fact that it fell down, I see why Trump went off. He's like, bro, this is the best situation for you. We emboldened you to feel like a tough guy through our support. Now we're done with you. Now we're done. Good luck. And hopefully Europe can fit the bill.
Perhaps it's got something to do with the meeting that Zelensky had with top Democrats hours before he arrived at the White House. Democrat Senator Chris Murphy posted this on X on Friday morning, quote, "Just finished a meeting with President Zelensky here in Washington. He confirmed that the Ukrainian people will not support a fake peace agreement where Putin gets everything he wants, and there are no security arrangements for Ukraine," end quote. In other words, just before Zelensky was due to sign the deal, he was telling the Democrats he didn't like it, and they supported his opposition. They encouraged him not to sign. Then Zelensky went into the Oval Office.
So they went behind the president's back and they just said, yeah, he's going to try to give you a deal that's going to help you, your people, and stop this war. Okay. Like, and we want, and here's the problem. But here's the only thing, bro. Here's the only thing about that, Zelensky. He wants you to work with Putin. And Zelensky was just like, bro, what? Work with Putin? You got lost your damn mind. So, and then he walks in there and here we have the fit with him and J.D. Vance. Or this whole argument with him and J.D. Vance. I could see it going down like that. It's like, yeah, well, he's gonna do some good, but guess what? He wants you to work with Putin. And come on, can you really trust Putin? Can you trust him, Putin, Zelensky? Can you trust him? And you know Zelensky. Nope. Putin bad to the very end.
Office rolled his eyes, talked over the president, argued with him, and killed the whole thing.
Unfrickin' believable. Although I wish we had that privilege, unfortunately, you have to believe it because that's exactly what happened. And it's not like the Democrats are trying to hide it. Just like what was said in the video, Chris Murphy literally tweeted ahead of the meeting. Just finished a meeting with President Zelensky here in Washington. He confirmed that the Ukrainian people will not support a fake peace agreement where Putin gets everything he wants and there are no security arrangements for Ukraine. Yeah, clearly we understand exactly what happened. They met.
Security arrangements was going to happen with the procurement of your damn resources. Okay? We was going to protect you for the resources and y'all effing it up. Bro, come on, Ukraine. Let us get this.
With Zelensky, and they created this whole premise that Donald Trump essentially.
We got other places we can get it out of. And then, I mean, come on now. Who's really going? Actually, I wonder who's going to stop Putin from taking Ukraine if not us? Because if Europe wanted to have it done, it had got active a long time ago. I mean, think about it. They've been pushing the fear mongering that Putin's going to take Europe, but they're not the ones stepping up. So who's honestly going to stop this man if not us? And this man is not willing to talk to anybody but Trump right now. So it's kind of on. I'm be real with you. Zelensky has no say on anything, on any peace negotiation, on any ceasefire. It has to be Trump and Putin. It has to be them.
Eventually wanted to drop him and give Russia everything that they wanted. They sat with the guy, probably coaching him to reject the deal, feeding him the same idiotic, bad faith talking points that the mainstream media has been pushing the last few days, that there were no security guarantees in Trump's plan. Trump just wants to give Vladimir Putin everything. It's a fake deal. And so no wonder the thing went off the rails. And really, I find this notion funny that Ukraine was offered no.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's like, bro, yeah, we got to trust Vladimir Putin to stop shooting y'all. And he's going to do that because America's stamping it and we're going to protect you because why? You're giving us access to resources that we need for our manufacturing. I mean, bro, this could have been a deal that benefited everybody, but hey, maybe it wasn't meant to be, guys. Or we just got to wait and see how long he can last. You never know.
Security guarantee. The mineral deal itself, in a way, is a security guarantee. If American companies are investing in Ukraine's mineral sector, well, that inherently creates a security guarantee because the last thing Russia wants is to start messing with American assets. If all of a sudden American companies are positioned in Ukraine and operating, well, it becomes a completely different foreign policy calculation.
And they go over there and strike them and they hit American citizens, then we're going to get into war. I mean, honest with you, America working with Ukraine why isn't that what NATO wants? Like, dog, we're pretty much right there working on Russia's border, and they're okay with it. Not y'all, but they're okay with us doing it. Y'all should be able to sit y'all ass back and be okay with this. But for some reason, you can't.
For Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin than it would otherwise. You think Putin wants to deal with the fallout of attacking an area packed with U.S. infrastructure, personnel, and corporate investment? Of course not. It's foreign policy for kindergarteners. You have Trump extending economic partnerships in Ukraine, bringing Zelensky to the White House for what should have been probably a historic moment, signaling a path towards the end of this war. The security guarantee is basically baked into the cake of the agreement. All Zelensky had to do, again, was show up, shake hands, say, I'm going to be at the negotiating table. And look, if you have issues at the negotiating table, you could raise them there. But instead, what he did was show up to Washington, team and scheme with the Democrats, where they clearly strategized against Donald Trump and created this whole premise that Zelensky had to push back on the Trump administration that was supposedly caving to the Russians. And then Zelensky walked into the Oval Office and probably reiterated all the same talking points that he practiced with the Democrats. And then, of course, the whole thing fell apart.
Caving to the Russians would have been like, look, bro, you're going to let Vladimir Putin have your resources, your land, and we're just going to let him have whatever he wants, and we're just going to end the war, okay? That's bowing